Hello and welcome to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We're going to do what we do every 2 weeks. We're going to go through the games that we've been playing, which there are a couple games multiple of us have played, so that's interesting.
Some overlap.
Completed too. So we can have a good discussion about that. We got a lot of news to talk about and then a lot of emails to talk about this week. Some really good ones. One I know Dan's really excited to talk about.
Yeah, there's a good mix.
So, I'll go first, but the biggest game we're going to talk about this week is Stray. I have completed it. Dan, you've completed it.
Yeah, I beat it too. Yeah.
I think Matt, you're the outlier. You haven't played it yet.
Yeah, just call me the weak link because I'm not playing that game.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that game pretty heavily. Then, I don't think there's really that much to spoil about that game. I mean, it is. If you think that game is the kitty cat game, it is, but it also is not at the same time.
Yeah, and
there's a lot more to it.
We'll stop short of saying what the ending and stuff is, just because. But I mean, there's really not much to spoil.
Not really. No. I loved it. So it is one of my favorite games of the year by far. It's like way more narratively rich of a game than I thought it was going to be without like having a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
Like way more than sense. I thought. The end of it, I'll be honest, like the end of it hit me really hard. You know, I'm a cat owner. I own 3 cats. I lost a cat last year. We're not going to spoil the end. I'll say the cat doesn't die. So spoiler, not spoiler. You don't have to worry about the cat dying. But for me as a cat owner, it hit me really hard at the end. That was one of my favorite parts of the game, but we're not going to spoil what the end is. But basically, you're a cat. Like when the game starts, like you're hanging out with your pack of stray cats. You get separated from them, and then you kind of just go on this adventure in like a cyberpunk setting. There's definitely something that's going on with like there's no humans, but there's all these cyborgs that have human memories, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And
it's hard to tell.
To them.
It's hard to tell like how long it's been, but it seems like it's been a really long time.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they ever say exactly how long it's been, but they do like tell you at the end it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
You eventually meet like a little robot buddy, and he kind of does the translating for you. So like he'll translate what the robots are saying, and then he'll kind of translate what you're saying, I guess, if that makes sense.
Kind of gives you an idea of like where to go, what to do. Because the game's very freeform. It never really tells you like go here, do this. It's more like find a way out of here, find a way out of here.
Exactly.
Okay. That being said, like parts of it are fairly like linear, like A to B, like figure out how to get to the end of this thing. But then they have cool little hub areas where you're just kind of free to explore. I did a lot of that, obviously, but there are parts of it where like you're free to explore, but then it turns out you kind of had to explore to move on. So it's kind of like forced exploration, but it's still fun to do. And find all the little neat stuff and the paths you can go up and down, and a lot of different random collectible stuff to get, which are just help fill in the story, which are nice.
They help fill in the story. It's not overboard with collectibles or anything like that, but there are collectibles in the game for sure. There's little Easter eggs and stuff too. I mean, you still at the end of the day, you're playing as a cat, so there's different things. I think one of the funniest and coolest things in the game is like you can get the cat stuck in a paper bag, but when that happens, like the controls become reversed for you because your cat can't see. And I thought that was very clever done. So you kind of have to move around until he gets the paper bag off his head. Like stuff like that was
pretty
really
funny.
Cool. For everything about it, like the thing I like the most about the game is it controls incredibly well. Like
incredibly well, and like especially with that DualSense controller, like it has a lot of DualSense features that are really good.
Mm-hmm. It controls like a cat. It plays like a cat. Like you never really feel like it does something you don't want him to do. Some of the jumping is a little tricky because
you
can only jump to certain points. So you kind of it's a puzzle, the jumping puzzle for the most part, but you have a
dedicated meow button. So if you want your cat to meow in command, you can.
Yeah.
Does he always land on his feet?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cause he never really,
there's only one. I'll say there's only one time he does not land on his feet, and that's at the beginning when you get separated from your pack.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah, and like you said, you can't really jump anywhere you want, so like the game kind of forces him to land on his feet in a weird way.
Yeah.
You can so like you can die in the game, but the only way you can die is like there is kind of like a, I wouldn't call it an alien. It's more of like a plague type thing. There's like these weird parasites.
It's like
basically.
the Flood.
Yeah, it looks kind of like the Flood from Halo. They can attack and kill you. So that's like the only thing that can really kill the cat in the game. But like, if you jump off a high place, the game actually won't let you jump off of something that is too high, and you can't jump up to something that is too high. It'll always tell you if you can make this jump.
There's a marker that'll show you like where you can and can't go, which is fine. You can go most places you think you can.
So
a lot of it's light puzzle solving. Like there's nothing super. I would say
towards
difficult.
the end of the game, it becomes very Metal Gear Cat. There's a lot of stealth towards the end.
It's a weird game. Like
but it's good.
Yeah, it definitely takes a turn at like halfway during the game. Like you're like, oh, it's something completely different. But but it's still cool. Like I really like the game a lot. I think it's really good. I don't like. There's people out there that think it's like life affirming and they can't believe they've lived to this point in their life to experience this game. But it's but it's good. And like it's really good. I've played through it basically twice at this point.
Yeah, you're going for all the trophies.
Yeah, I'm going for all the trophies. I just have a couple left, but they're not hard. And I don't know, it's really good. And for being part of that like plus premium extra thing,
it's perfect for that. I
mean, it's only $30 anyway.
Is
it only a digital game?
$30 game.
Yeah.
No, they made a physical copy.
Did they?
They did for only PS5, but yeah, it is $40 if you buy physical.
Oh no, I did see that.
I kind of want to do it though because I like it that much. So
that's good.
I'll wait till it's on sale physically, but no, Stray, it's one of my favorites here. I wouldn't say I'm not like sitting here like life affirming or anything like that, but like it is one of the best games I've played this year by far. So.
It's the only thing that kind of like took me out of it a little bit is like because you're playing as the cat, you're smarter than a normal cat would be. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of bizarre because like you follow the arrows and like because there's one specific part where like arrows show you where to go and all this kind of stuff. It's like if I'm really a cat, do I do that? Not really, but I get it.
Probably not.
Like it's just kind of a quirk of how the game is designed. But it's a fun 6-hour adventure game.
It took me 5, but I didn't go for everything either.
Yeah.
So
if you really take your time, it could be a little.
If you want to get all the trophies, you could easily triple that probably because I think there's a speed run that you have to do.
You got to do it in 2 hours, which is entirely possible.
Once you know, it's entirely possible. And if you're doing a speed, you're not getting all the collectibles anyway. So
no.
Yeah.
But no, loved it. So that pretty much wraps up Stray. Other things I've been playing, a little more Power Wash Simulator. Still really like that. I kind of been doing a mix of playing a little bit on PC and a little bit on the Series X, but I like it on both. The big one I'll say here, I know Dan's familiar with this game. There's a reason why I played it this week. House Party.
Oh,
you know what this game is?
Because it's finally out. Yeah,
it's out. I was supposed to play a game with a buddy
2 years
PC
later.
One night,
it's finally out.
And he, for whatever reason, the last minute, he's like, I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to do anything tonight. I'm like, okay. So I was going to get ready to like shut my computer off. And for whatever reason, I had my Steam open. And I happened to see that it was like House Party full release. And I had bought it like 2 years ago or whenever. So I was like, whatever. I'll fuck around with it. And like, obviously it's you know what the game is. It's an adult game where your mission is to bang somebody at a party, at a house party. But it
smashing? Yeah. That's the whole point.
It's a fully adult game. Like when you get to that point, but you have to work for it. It's not like there's all sorts of crazy shit,
missions and stuff you have to do. It's crazy.
Like it'd be like, oh, you want to get with this chick? Well, you have to go over this one, make this one jealous, or you have to do this or that. But it's really good. So it's worth playing. I don't think it's very expensive. It's like $20 maybe.
Yeah, and I think
now that it's full release.
I think the big thing for full release is they added you can play as a woman now, right?
Yeah, they added you play as a full. I mean, the Game Grumps, I think they're both characters in the game, right?
They're in the game too. There's a way to get them to show up. Yeah,
you can get them. Like, there's a couple characters that are not at the party, and you have to do very specific things. So like there's one chick that's like a tutor for one of the girls that's in the house, and if you go and like mess around with her computer, you could actually like send her an instant message like, hey, you should come over, it's a tutoring emergency, and this chick just shows up and it's like,
that's pretty good.
Oh, I don't know why you're here, and then she just hangs out. So it's dumb, but again,
it's funny though, and like
adult rated game. So
kind of reminds me of Leisure Suit Larry.
It's more adult than Leisure Suit Larry. I'll say that.
It goes places for sure.
It goes places for sure. Yeah, it is. I will say this on Steam. It is like rated 18 and up. So
it
falls
definitely
under that category. On Game Pass, I've almost done with it actually already. The Destroy All Humans remake of the first one, because the second one's coming out at the end of August.
Yeah,
and I had played the original one on PS2 way back in the day when it came out. It's a really good remake of that game. So I mean, I don't think there's more that needs to be said than like if you liked that game 15 years ago, it's a great. I mean, it runs at 4K 60 on the Series X, so it looks good. It plays really well. It's just a fun, dumb. It's a game that you don't get that type of game today. So you're the alien invading Earth in like in a 1950s setting,
right?
And then the last thing I played, only because I bought it on we had the summer sales going on all the systems like Xbox, PlayStation. I think Steam just wrapped up theirs. I decided to buy because it got down to $25 for everything. You get everything in the game. City Skylines. So I bought
like
that
all the add-ons and stuff.
Because you get all the add, because normally that's like over $100. And so I think the base game is already on Game Pass anyways, but I decided to jump in because I really like that game. Now that it's like they still put out content, but it's not like what they were doing. It's kind of a complete game now. So I jumped into that and messed around with that for a little bit. And that's just a fun city building game. So if you like Sim City or anything like that, it's like a very good version.
It's like that version. It's what that game is now. Like,
but it works really well on console, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get those games on console and they do not control well.
No,
so
they do not.
This controls really well. So that kind of pretty much wraps up what I've been playing. I did get a copy of Live Alive, but I have not played it yet.
Yeah,
I kept saying every day, I'm like, I'm going to start it today. And I just didn't get a chance. It's in my Switch. I've opened it. I put it in my Switch. I updated it, but I have not started it yet.
Yeah,
so
I kept getting
hopefully this next week.
I've got that, and then
now that I'm done with Stray, I'm probably going to at least take a look at it because it looks really awesome.
Yeah.
So I will turn it over to you, Dan.
So yeah, I bought Live Alive and Xenoblade, both of which aren't open yet. So that's a problem, but I'll get to that at some point because, because like I was mainly playing Stray, and then I finally finished Persona 5 Strikers, like everything, including all the trophies and stuff. That game is really, really good, and Kyle, I know you like Persona 5.
I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah, you need
on
to
my short list
just for the story stuff. Like the story's really good, and like it's a cool game too because like they added extra characters over those that were in 5, but then like they kind of wrap it up where like those characters, like they come and they go kind of a thing. So it's kind of neat. But yeah, the story's really good. The gameplay's really good. Grinding out the last couple trophies was a little bit of a pain because you have to play it on the merciless difficulty at the end, which is if you get hit a couple times, it's over. Or like bosses can one-shot you.
Do they leave the story of it in such a way that they could make another one with these characters?
If they really wanted to, they absolutely could.
Okay.
Like the story of this is different enough from 5, like how it works. And but everybody's still there, and like could they if they wanted to? Absolutely. I don't think they will just because that's not typically what they do. Like you got to figure 6 is probably new characters, new story, all that kind of stuff. But if they wanted to, yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people would go for it just because 5 is so good, and this spinoff, which had no right to be this good, is good because it's a dynasty this game. Like it had no right to be as good as arguably that other, like the mainline title is, but it is
exactly.
And then really the only other major thing I've played because I messed around with a whole bunch of random stuff, but like I've been talking about it for a while, but Digimon Survive finally came out on Friday, and I picked that up, and I've already put in probably probably at least like 10 hours into that game.
Okay.
And man, it is, as someone who loves Digimon and has played like Cyber Sleuth and World and all that kind of stuff, this game is fucking weird. It is.
Okay.
They have not said the word Digimon once in the game.
Awesome.
Have not said it at all, which is weird.
Okay.
It is, in terms of like tone, just some terms, it is very dark. Like it is.
Okay.
They talk constantly about like children being sacrificed and all this other kind of stuff, and like the characters freak out. And it's
isn't it mostly a visual novel, or is there any battle in it?
So the thing about the game is you start it up and you get a tutorial battle, and the battle, the game I would say it reminds me the most of is like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance in terms of like art style, because they're like the characters a little shrunken down and it's kind of cartoony, and like it's a tactics thing with like, you know, different heights, and you can walk around a grid, and sometimes there's stuff in the grid. Then you have attacks, and you can have ranged attacks and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, it's like the battling is actually pretty solid because it's all just grid based battling. As you get on later, obviously they can like evolve into higher levels, and the mechanic for how that works is good. Where basically like it costs, essentially this game's equivalent of like mana to evolve.
Okay.
And then every turn it costs mana to keep them evolved. So there's there could be a point where like you run out and they just go back down. So you kind of have to manage that, which is nice because it doesn't make it where just like you're automatically powerful no matter what you do. But so you do that tutorial battle, which is short and sweet, and it kind of just teaches you how. And then I don't think I had another battle for 3 hours. Because it is narrative.
So very story
dump.
Okay.
Like you're talking to everybody, you're making choices, you're going to different areas and talking to people, and you're looking around. It's very like point and click adventure too, where like you're clicking on things in the environment to learn more, and then like you have to talk to people and say the right things, so like your affinity with them goes up.
Sure.
So you can't really like you may like certain characters more than others, but you really can't just focus on certain people, as I found out the hard way, because probably like 7 hours in, one of my characters is dead. Like he is dead. Okay. They don't pretend like, they don't pretend like, and these kids are, the oldest one in your group is 16 and the youngest one is like 10. So, but they don't screw around. Like when something happens, this guy has like a mental break, and he goes off and he gets killed, and like everybody watches it happen.
Is it rated M? Like,
it's only rated teen because you don't see him be like,
you don't
murdered,
see it happen. Okay, they just talk about it.
He dies because the game is like I would say like 70% voice acted. Some of it isn't, some of it is. The cutscenes are cool because like they're actually like anime like cutscenes, like actual like cartoon looking things. Okay. The characters actually, like, it's not like all static pictures of people, like their mouths move and like they can move around and stuff, which is nice.
Oh, okay.
But so they all watch him die, and then you hear that like video game sound where it's like somebody getting like stabbed, and then like he screams.
I see. Okay.
And then the next cutscene, the guy's like, "Man, he's dead," and you're like, "Holy shit!" And then when he dies, like his Digimon partner looks at you sad, and then it disappears. And I'm just like, crazy. Wow, that is. I didn't realize that this was how it was going to play out, because this guy hadn't really, because like if I think back on it, I can't think of a time where or how I could have made it not happen, because like you can't really talk to that guy much, and I don't remember being able to, but I must have messed something up, and so he's just gone, and like his partner's gone. And
is it the type of game where like there's a trophy for getting through the game without having
there's a trophy related to his character reaching a certain level, so obviously I can't get that, so I'm gonna have to play it again. But I think the trophy list requires you to play it 3 times anyway.
That makes sense.
But I don't know what I could have changed, but he's dead now, so that was really messed up. And then it makes me have a bad feeling about this other guy in the group, where I'm like, oh man, I think he's gonna die too. Because I can't, whenever I talk to him, I can't figure out the right things to say, you know?
Oh, man.
Because then they always have you get to pick from different options and stuff. And then like that leads to a different place, or like maybe didn't visit him at the right time and talk to him in a certain way. But it's crazy. I really, really, really like the game just because it is super weird. And
but do you think it would resonate with fans of Digimon as much as some of the other ones? Or do you think
you have to be a fan to like it?
Okay.
I think if you don't care about the product, it's going to be very obtuse for you because this is
I bought a copy of it on the Xbox.
I figured you would.
Physical.
But
only because they made it physical now. It's like that's such a random thing that it's going to be hard to find. I know it is.
And it's
I'm
just
interested.
I mean it's very visual novel heavy base. Like you don't get to battle a lot. Like you do boss fights and stuff like that, and
sure.
They're not super hard, but if you don't play your stuff right, like you can start to get messed up because you can get flanked and all this other kind of bad stuff can happen to you. You do have the option when you're like exploring to like go free battle, and that's how you can like recruit other Digimon to your team because you can like talk to them in battle and try to convince them to join you. But again, that's the kind of thing of like figuring out what they want to hear and making sure you're doing it right and all this kind of stuff. Because if you don't, then you screw up and they become more powerful or something. The other part about the game is like I have no concept of like how far into it I am. Like I couldn't tell you because I'm just now at the point where I'm trying to get the last person who I know is supposed to be in the party into the party.
Okay.
But
and that's 10 hours in
at least. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's a new, very dark take on Digimon, and
did it like worldwide release? Because like this game doesn't have any English voice acting, right? It's all Japanese.
No, it's all Japanese. It's English. Okay. It's English subtitles, Japanese.
So was it a worldwide release, like with Japan, or has it been out in Japan for a bit?
No, I think it came out at the same time. But yeah, it's English subtitles and Japanese voice, which is fine. That's probably how I'd want to play it. So it's really good. I don't know how the rest of it's gonna play out for me, but I'll have to play it again to try to keep people alive, I guess.
No, it was the kind of thing where you were talking to me about it like throughout the week, and then I looked and I was like, wow, this is the first one that's on Xbox, which is cool. But they also made a physical copy, and I was like, man, that just seems like something I should have.
And I think I told you the only other one that I think has ever been on Xbox was they made like Digimon World 4 is on original Xbox.
Yeah,
and maybe one of like the battle ones, but
not any of these new like Cyber Sleuth.
No, none of those. Those are good too. And like we were talking about too, it's that Cyber Sleuth has been delisted from PS4, so you're gonna have to go get it.
You can still get a physical copy of it, but you can't buy it digitally, which is crazy to me. So
I was thinking
like these are fairly popular.
As someone who's played that game, I can't figure out what would have caused it to need to be delisted 3 years ago.
Because there's a sequel to it, right?
It's like 1.5 because it kind of takes place at the same time, but from somebody else's perspective. I still have that one to play, but yeah. So that's Digimon. It's pretty good. I'm gonna play a lot more, and hopefully people won't die. But we'll see.
All right, Matt. You've been playing.
Go ahead. So just saying, I finished Sniper Elite 5. I played solo the campaign, so I mean that's why it took me forever to get through it. But I don't know. The last mission was a huge disappointment after what I went through for the previous 9 missions.
The last mission of that game, you literally just have to snipe one guy in the head that walks out of his mansion, and the game ends. That's it. They built this entire it looks like when you start the level, it's a big mansion. It looks like one of these things where you're gonna have to infiltrate or something. And then when it started, like because me and my buddy were playing it, I'm like, I wonder if we can just sit here and the guy will walk outside. Sure enough, like 2 seconds, the guy walks outside and I just shot him. And then immediately once you kill him, it like end cutscene.
Yeah,
and that's the game.
Weird.
And I was like, man, you're telling me I spent about 3 fucking weeks going through this game, and that was it. That was a big payoff. And I was like, well, that was kind of a disappointment. But I mean, for what I played for the whole 9 missions were pretty good. The last mission was just kind of what? I mean, like I could have done without it. Yeah. So that was my happiness with Sniper Elite 5 after it was finished. I did, based off of our last session and the viewer who said we needed to try it. I believe that game was Kelowna.
Yeah, that was that collection we were. Yeah.
So I downloaded the demo and I jumped into it, and I have to say it was pretty fun. Like it was actually I actually had a good time with it. I definitely would think that might be something I might look for if it drops in price anytime soon, like
Because I
even
think it's
digitally or
normally
physically.
$40. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't buy it like full just because I don't really think I'd be like super into it. But like from what I played of it,
Sure.
seemed like a good time.
Yeah,
So I think I'd be
it's very much like a PS1 era game. Like
yeah.
it's not a bad game. It is of that era, and I don't know if I'd pay $40 for it, but like 20 or something, sure.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
what I was that's how I felt too. I was like, you know what? I definitely think if it drops on sale anytime, I definitely would buy it cuz I am interested in seeing how it plays out now that I've started it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll definitely just wait and see what happens as far as that goes. And then I played some of Vampire Survivors per Kyle and the way he talks about it. So I mean, it is kind of addicting. It's like
It's
it's
incredibly
quite
addicting, and it's such a stupid thing to be addicted to
it's
because it
the
is the most
dumbest
simple
game.
game you'll ever play. Mhm.
Yeah, but it is a lot of fun, I have to admit. And like when you get to the point where the hordes just start coming at you
It's
and you're just like
ridiculous.
literally running in circles, you're just like, all right,
You're,
well, let's go from this.
you literally become this like walking wall of death, and it's just like watch all these enemies just hit you and die. Like
Yeah.
it's absurd. It gets really
Yeah, it is
wacky.
pretty good though. I mean, for what was it, $5? I think.
It's $3.
Oh, $3
It is
for
$3.
$3, dude. I'm
Yeah.
not complaining at all. It's
No,
definitely worth $3. Like I'm definitely okay that I bought it.
it would be the perfect Switch game. So I keep saying, like without
Yeah,
question,
very much
perfect,
sure. Oh
perfect for
yeah.
that. So, all right. Well, we'll move on to news because there's a lot of news in the last 2 weeks. We're gonna start. We'll start with a really fun one because I just think this is ridiculous. So Sony paid like so, I don't remember how much money, but Sony had paid to have a partnership with Discord.
Right.
But for whatever reason, the Discord voice stuff is coming to Xbox first. And it's already rolled out. Like if you're an Xbox insider, you already have access to this. But it sounds like this fall it'll be out. So like I think both systems we're at the point where Discord should be the norm for everything at this point.
It
Right.
literally should be what they all use. I mean, Nintendo
So,
never will because they're insane.
No.
But
they want you to use their own cell phone app
Yeah,
to talk
it's
to, not
awful.
Discord. Even though I'm sure most people that would be playing online probably use Discord to talk when they're playing the Switch. But it's a crazy thing. It doesn't make sense to me. Like why Sony would pay money for this and then Xbox or Microsoft is getting it first. But regardless, I'm glad to see it launch somewhere because it needs to. Like we're at a point now where a lot of games are crossplay, so it makes sense to have a chat that is crossplay. And Discord's only gotten better as time has gone on. So that's kind of a crazy one. Next one is like the Last of Us remake, the Last of Us Part 1, where a bunch of shit got leaked on it, and then they had to scramble in one day. I thought this was interesting. In one day, they scrambled and made a 10-minute YouTube video. And if you watch that 10-minute YouTube video, it is literally just them trying to sell you this game at $70.
Again,
like, hey, look at all this cool shit that we put into this game to make it worth $70. You should really buy it, and it's just, I don't think anything in there for me personally makes me want to go out and pay $70. I mean, this is a game I've played on PS3 and PS4, so like I don't need to play it again on PS5.
And I've played it on a PS4 Pro. Like,
as have I.
So like, how much? I just don't get. $70 is just nuts.
It's nuts. It should
we
be
talked
like
about it
40.
before. It should be on the Plus thing. Like it should literally be. You bought extra. It should be the premium checkout extra.
I mean, the one thing I'll say there's still time. Like they could announce that, but I don't think they will.
Yeah,
no, because they're gonna get $70.
Wow, I think it will happen, but I think it's later this fall because they're going to see how much they can sell of it first, and then they'll go, well, like because the sales will drop off fast of this thing.
But it's got extra costumes and a model viewer and a dedicated mode for speed running and accessibility. Accessibility
was
options.
asking for that.
Like, what is going on? Why is it $70?
But no multiplayer.
No multiplayer. But we're making a multiplayer only game for some point in the future, which we'll charge you $70 for.
Exactly.
It's just insane.
It's insane. It doesn't make sense.
I just don't need it.
No. It needs to be on that plus thing. That is my biggest thing about that game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's just the equivalent of Grand Theft Auto at this point in time. Like, how many times can we remake this game and people are going to buy it?
Exactly.
Like, no, thank
Persona
you. Okay.
5.
Yeah.
Persona 5 coming to PS5, no upgrade for that game. So I guess certain people wanted to have like an upgrade for that game, like where they could just get the PS5 version or maybe even pay like $10. They have come out and said, we're not doing that. You can just buy the game again. As I have said before, I love Persona 5. I put 100 hours into Persona 5. When they put out Royal, I said I've already played Persona 5. I couldn't imagine playing another 100 hours of that for one new character. And like, I've played that within the last 5 years. I would rather take 100 hours and put it into a JRPG I have not played yet.
Right.
Like, so for me, I don't care, but I can get for the people that care. I understand why they're upset. So
it's just weird there's not a path. Like making you buy, especially a game like Persona 5, like just making you buy that again at full price is weird.
It's weird, for sure.
Very much so.
I'm going to let Dan speak to this one because it's a GameStop one, but I did enjoy that you abbreviated NFT as National Fucking Tragedy. I thought that was good.
Because this is horrible.
GameStop made another fuck up this week. We actually did get a couple emails on it. I decided not to put any of them in because I knew we were just going to talk about it. So if you wrote in to let us know about this, we're talking about it now.
Yeah. So GameStop opened their NFT marketplace, a couple weeks ago. Their latest ditch it, bringing in the quick bucks.
Yeah.
With fake internet money, buying fake internet pictures. And so, and the way these NFT marketplace works is like people can make things to sell on these marketplaces, and then somebody buys it and then they sell it. It's like buying a painting. And but this one, it's basically what it is. It's money laundering digitally instead of physically.
There you go.
But so one of the creators made an NFT which was called like Falling Man or something, and it's meant to look like an astronaut like falling upside down, and it's got this like black and white kind of gradient lined border in the background. And everybody kind of thought, well, gee, isn't this weird? It looks exactly like that famous photo of the guy jumping out of the towers after they got hit on 9/11.
Okay.
And if you look at them side by side, it's exactly what it is.
It's exactly
down to the background and the way the guy's legs are posed. It is incredibly distasteful. Like, what the hell is wrong with people? Not only the guy who made it, but like people bought this thing and sold it and bought it and sold it.
Yeah.
Like, people are disgusting. I'm like,
it is.
9/11 was a long time ago, but like, come on.
Come on.
So, luckily, after ignoring it for a little bit, GameStop finally said nah and got rid of it. But Jesus, dude.
I like that their tactic almost every time at first is to just try to ignore it. Like, you think they would learn
maybe
by
it'll
now.
Go away. Maybe it'll go away in a couple days.
It's every single fucking time. They're always like, let's just ignore it. Nobody, they'll stop talking about it. And then after like 2 days, they cave every time.
Yeah, but all it takes is, a picture of a guy dying on a date of a national tragedy for them to respond. And luckily they just banned that guy from making more stuff on the platform. But like,
that's
good.
Right.
God, like does nobody screen this stuff?
No.
You just let people post shit? Like, come on. Awful.
There's been a couple I'll go over two of them because I'm going to go out of order on our list here, but there's been a couple more delays. I mean, obviously delays are going to keep happening. That's just what it is.
Forever.
The Lord of the Rings Golem game got delayed, which, like, I don't know if either of you watched the recent trailer. I did. It does not look like a game that's ready to launch in September. So I was not surprised by this when they said that, and they haven't even said how long. They just said a few months. So that tells me it's probably like a 6-month push, but like there are parts of that trailer where it just doesn't look finished. And so I'm not surprised at all. The other big one, and that's why I'm jumping around here because this is even crazier. is the Knights of the Old Republic remake. So basically the people that are behind like working on that took a vertical slice of it, which to explain a vertical slice, basically they take like a very like picked apart part of the game to show investors what they've been working on for, in this case, 3 years. And whatever they chose to show these people was so terrible that they not only fired the person that was like the project manager, but they now just indefinitely delayed the game. Which seems fucking crazy because it's a remake of Knights of the Old Republic. And I'd argue Star Wars has never been more popular than it is right now with all these TV shows and stuff. So to just go from like, hey, we're doing this, which was like not even a few months ago, they announced that they were remaking this game finally, to just being like, hey, it's definitely delayed. Wild.
I mean, you remember those games when they came out? They weren't exactly the most polished things in the world.
No, they were. Weren't they both not Bethesda? Yeah, weren't they Bethesda games? Or no. They were from the people that made Mass Effect, BioWare. Yeah,
but they weren't polished. Like they had bugs and they would crash. And
I think the second game had a game-breaking bug.
One of them had a door to nowhere. Like they've never been solid games, and like to try and you have to imagine that remaking it now, they have to be like rebuilding
probably
it from scratch.
Probably really hard to do.
Yeah. And
so, I just was surprised. So, Phantasy Star 2, or I should say Phantasy Star Online 2, is coming to PS4 on August 31st. It's crossplay, so it'll be playable with Xbox people and PC. I have played this game. Dan has played a little bit more of this game than I have. I played a really lot. Good. You played a lot
Xbox
more than I have.
Yeah. It's good, and it's very Phantasy Star Online. Like it's cool that it's coming to PlayStation, but you and I talked about it. Like I hope it works because when they did the new Genesis update on Xbox, I was really excited because
like, that game hard.
We're going to change how the game plays. Like it'll become more of an action RPG, and I was like, all right, that sounds cool. Like to give me something else to do. And then it ran awful on a 1X.
Terrible.
Like it could not run.
Series X, I tried it there. It was bad. PC, like you can keep the frame rate to not be trash, but it affects other parts of the game.
Right.
So it's not a good version of that. It could be today. I haven't tried it since that new Genesis thing launched. Was this time last year, I think.
Maybe a little bit roughly longer,
maybe like June or so, but it was roughly around this time last year. So it's cool that it's coming to more platforms. I mean, you always knew it was going to come to PlayStation eventually. It was never going to be an Xbox only thing.
Yeah, Xbox just helped get it over here.
So, but I'll check it out on PlayStation.
I'll play it again. I'm hoping it works because I love Phantasy Star Online.
I would like to see native PS5 and Series X versions of that game, but I don't think they're going to do it. So
not for a while. I think that's probably in the card just because I don't think we're getting a 3. You know, that could come down the line. Other free to play games have done it, like Genshin has done it. So like it's totally possible. I'd like to see it. Maybe it'll help the frame rate.
I really hope it will.
I hope so.
We got some more PSVR 2 details, but still no release date. It's going to be this fall. They've announced games that come out this fall for it, so like it has to.
They did that big showcase where they showed a lot of them. Like we finally kind of know what it looks like, and the controllers are weird Quest type things. Like at least it's only one tiny cord.
Yeah, I'll say that. Like I'm still bummed it's not completely wireless, but it is not this like ridiculous breakout box with 4 different cables and stuff. Like as I've said before, like as someone who owns 3 cats, that's not possible for me to set up at all. So like it would be chaos. So
well, it's got better, like you can kind of set up your play area kind of stuff, whereas the last one it was just kind of I hope your play area is the right size and shape.
And I think it still requires that. We talked about it. I think it's requiring the camera still, like the PS5 version of that.
I would have to assume.
So, but I'll say I'm very interested. Someone who's never tried any of the VRs, the PlayStation 1 always seemed like the most interesting and easily accessible one for me.
I liked my PS4
This would be the one I would. this would be the one that I would like to try, but I'm curious to see what the price is. And it's not something I would probably get day one. I want to see people using it and hear about it.
No, I always liked my PS4 one. It worked really well. It like the games on it are cool. Like it felt nice. Like I like the idea of having it for a console just because it seems like it's, I don't know, I guess you would say like more regulated as opposed to like
for sure
the weird shit you can do with it on PC. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
You can fall down a weird hole with that there. So next news story, I wouldn't normally put this on here because like every single day there's a new rumor about GTA 6. But this is a pretty like substantiated one. So it sounds like the main characters of GTA 6 will be both female, which is cool. And it's gonna, and this part of it also makes sense. They're going to add cities and content to it over time,
right?
And that's kind of makes sense to me. How,
because we were talking about how are they going to make this game move forward naturally?
Yeah,
and that makes a lot of sense. Like
it makes a lot more sense to do it this way.
3 years later, they could be like the Los Santos update, and you go back like to where GTA 5 was and all that kind of stuff, and like,
but the
there's
way
a
that
ton of stuff they can do with that.
But I'll say the way that they're talking about it now, this seems more realistic. Like this is something that could come out as early as next fall now, if they wanted to.
And if you wanted to push it, sure, because now it doesn't have to be
a complete
for better
game.
or worse. It doesn't have to be the full game.
Yeah,
it can be like
part one.
Here's the first third of it, and then in a year free update, you can go to
Vice City or
whatever. Yeah.
Right.
And then maybe this is how we finally get the. People have always wanted like GTA Japan for a long time. Maybe this is how we finally get.
Maybe this is how they do it.
That. They have like a Japanese city or something. It's cool. It's a good way to keep that game alive for a decade. Kind of like how 5 was.
And that's what they're going to. I mean, they didn't set out to keep GTA 5 alive for a decade.
They just didn't, but with the way that like, the systems came out and like system, upgrades and stuff happened. Like now we're in an era where like when's PS6? Who the hell? Like I couldn't ever tell you that.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter. So now they got to keep it alive on, one console generation for a decade, but cities every year and a half, or like at the rate that they did this GTA 5 updates. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I imagine this will launch with like whatever GTA Online version 2.0 is. Right. And they'll maintain it that way as well.
Because they just released that last big 5 update, and you got to figure that's probably the last.
Probably the last really
big
big
for
major update. Yeah,
they'll probably keep it alive for a while, just as long as it's making money. But especially since they're not going to worry with keeping Red Dead alive because they've killed that. Like they basically turned that off already.
I saw players that play that game held like a funeral in game for that. I thought that was funny. Yeah. As someone who played a lot of the first Red Dead Online, I don't know. This one, I tried a little bit of it.
Couldn't get into the second one online. I played a lot of the first one, and it was fun because it was different.
Really fun at the time
because it was very different,
really different.
Yeah, and like going around with like crews and stuff. But second one just never got me
for sure. Goat Simulator 3 got a release date of November 17th. I'll play this for sure.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure I read it as a Game Pass game, but I don't see it here.
I would assume
I want to say I read that it was a Game Pass game, but I played the first one. My girlfriend's played the first one. She likes it too, so that's definitely something I'll play.
Those are fun mess around games.
Yeah, very much so.
Boot it up, play it for a half hour.
It's just a dumb sandbox game where you can do a bunch of crazy shit. So, but it's good for that. And then the last two big news stories we'll go over. One is the Tomb Raider stuff. So this is kind of twofold. MGM lost the rights to Tomb Raider. So like that sequel to that 2018 movie that like we both saw it in the theater together, and I don't remember much of that movie, so it was very forgettable. It was
fine. Like it wasn't.
It was like fine, but it was very inoffensive. Yeah. So them like finally pulling the plug on that sequel is not really surprising because I didn't think they would ever make it.
It was the classic. Right. They had to start making it by a certain date and just didn't, and killed it.
So the bigger news coming out of this is that they are heavily working on, as we know, the new next Tomb Raider game. It is supposedly called Project Jawbreaker. That's the code name.
Sure.
The bigger news coming out of this is that it seems like it is a continuation of the trilogy. So she'll fully be Lara Croft now. Like she's not like second guessing herself anymore, but they are recasting the role. So it will not be Camilla Luddington anymore, which is kind of a bummer because I thought that she was really good.
It's a downer for sure because, like, she was
really
arguably the best role. One, film or otherwise to be Lara Croft.
I can agree that. So, but it's okay. But I want to see a new Tomb Raider. By the time it's ready to go, it's been more than long enough for that series to come back. It's already been almost 5
And if they're
going
to do the same kind of thing where they do like use the model as like a inspiration for it too, they probably want to pick somebody that they could keep younger, who they could keep on for the next 10 years. And these three are going to take. It's typical recasting stuff. It's fine
for sure.
Yeah.
And then the last news story I just wanted to put in here because I think it's bullshit. I'm not I'm not a VR person, but the Meta Quest. So Meta, the people that run Facebook own the Quest, and they're raising the price of this thing by $100 for all models. Which, like, this is a company that doesn't need more money, and they're trying to focus this as, oh well, these parts are the price of these parts have gone up. Again, this isn't a company that needs any more money to make stuff. So, like, the prospect of it is incredible bullshit. The whole, we'll give you a free game. I think they're giving out Beat Saber for the rest of this year if you buy it starting tomorrow. Trash. But that's a $30 game. And so it's still $70 more than you would have spent, yesterday. It's just a very dumb. I just want to call it out for being a very dumb bullshit thing. So, that kind of wraps up news. A lot of little things, but some good stuff there. So we'll jump into emails because we have a lot of them. We have some really good ones. We also have some game recommendations. One which Matt has actually played. So when we get to that, I'll let him speak to because I have not played it. I don't think Dan. You played it.
I haven't touched it either. Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet. So, but we'll get at some point.
We'll go ahead and kick it off with a good GameStop one. Now, this person, I will say his name is Cody. I have redacted his location because he does mention the GameStop that he in the area that he worked at. And for that reason, that's why I redacted his location. But if you're somebody that listens to this podcast that work for GameStop in this specific area, you'll know exactly what this guy's talking about. Last week we talked about the GameStop credit card, which was
just a little bit.
Shit
but yeah, we brought it up a little bit. Yeah.
That brought some hate here, as I figured it would. So Cody wrote in to vent about the GameStop credit card, and I thought this was a good email, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. It says, "Hi guys, I found your podcast after a buddy of mine told me about it, especially about how you all discuss GameStop frequently. I was listening to the most recent episode, and the terrible GameStop credit card came up. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on this. Fuck that card. At the time that I worked at GameStop, it was in a highly populated metro area. Well, I won't say specifically. Let me just say that a store in my district was known as the Brickyard."
So pause there for a second because
I will pause there.
Kyle and I know this place because
we know the store.
It's close enough to where we were, and I actually know someone who did work there at one point at the Brickyard. The Brickyard was kind of like, I don't want to say like a flagship store, but it was a major store, a major GameStop in the city, in Chicago area. And that was always like the one they would compare you to because it was always like, it had the most staff. It had the most this, it had the most that. And it was just like, you knew about the Brickyard if you worked anywhere close to it.
Yeah. That would be a good summary of the Brickyard.
That's the Brickyard.
I have to get this off my chest how much I hated this card. We were told to push it. It had extremely unrealistic goals. At the time, I was an ASM and I worked under the worst district manager I've ever had at any job.
I can take a few guesses as to who that was. Too.
Yeah, we both can. So it got so bad that this DM would call multiple times a day to see where we were on the CC goal and would reprimand us when we were not hitting that goal. Jeez. While I dealt with some shitty things I had to push while at GameStop, this card is what forced me to quit just out of the pure stress. I'm glad you guys mentioned it, and thanks for giving me an outlet to unleash that. So I'll say, welcome. Cody, we feel your pain. The card sucked. I don't think we ever had like thankfully, I don't think we ever had goals where like our district manager was calling multiple times a day about it.
We had goals for sure. Like
we had
there
goals
were
on
definitely
it for
like
sure.
Get 1 or 2 signups a day or something like that, and like
we might
like
get
I
a
said,
weekly call about it though.
Well, and like I said before, you could sign up for it on the pin pad in the store. So we would always try to hawk it that way, and like the point of the card was to trick lower income people into signing up for a credit card with an insane rate. That's what the point of it was.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many times we had people who had no business having a credit card sign up for that thing. And then getting approved for like $200 or like $100,
and they'd be good with that. They'd max it out.
Hell yeah, they max it out, and then just have to pay 27% interest, probably for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I was gonna say the interest rate was like 27.
There's 26.99 immediately. There was, and unless you spent a certain amount for like to get a promotional deal, like I did for the Wii U and you did for something else.
I did for a PS4.
But yeah, man, that card was nuts. It was awful. The company pushed super hard into it, probably because they invested far too much into it.
Too much.
And then put it on our shoulders to fix it for them, which was
of course
pretty common thing that they did. So
pretty common.
That card sucked, and if you had a card and you had a bad experience, tell us about it. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, for sure, we'd love to hear about it. So next email comes from us at Rob from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Have you guys tried out Multiverse yet? It is the new DC Smash Brothers clone, and it's on pretty much every platform. I'm surprised at how good it actually is. I've been having a blast with it. I know from past episodes Dan has mentioned various fighting games, so I want to see if any of you have tried this yet. Thanks. So Matt, you've tried it, and you can tell me a little bit about Multiverse.
So it is basically a Smash Brothers clone. It's not
okay.
It's not anything crazy or really different, if I could say. It kind of plays exactly like Smash Brothers would. Except you're playing, of course, with like Warner Brothers type characters.
Is
Shaggy
God in it?
I haven't unlocked Shaggy yet.
You haven't unlocked Shaggy?
This is my biggest issue with that.
They don't give you God for free. I told you that.
Yeah, no, of course not. But it's like I don't really, from the matches that I've played in it, it's hard to gauge how you earn points to unlock characters in the game. So like one of the first couple of matches I played, I got like 30, 40 coins to unlock somebody.
Sure.
Now it costs like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 coins to unlock people. So it's like everybody's hidden behind a paywall, which isn't like bad. I mean, it's a free to play happen like that. Yeah, exactly. But it's really hard to gauge like how you earn coins in the game to unlock people, because like I said, one of the first couple of matches I played, I got like 30, 40 coins. But then like I played another match like later on in the day and I got 8 coins, even though I won the match, which really didn't make any sense.
Weird.
I was like,
that's weird.
I was like, what the fuck? So when you start the game up, they give you Wonder Woman. However, to earn Wonder Woman, you have to play through the tutorial, which is fine. I did it, whatever. Sure. I got her. When you start the game, you're unlocked with Superman. There's Finn from Adventure Time. There's someone's gonna thrash me, but there's a girl from Steven's Universe,
Steven Universe. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a girl from there, and there's like a new character who's like a dog with like antlers or some shit. I don't know his name. I think it's like Heimlich or something like that. And it's not horrible. It is entertaining. Like my son's downloaded it on the PS4 upstairs, and he's been probably played
more than you have.
Yeah, shit, yeah, dude. He's probably played like almost 24 hours of it. Realistically, like he's been in it. So it's a free to play game. I mean, there's really not much you can. Go ahead.
When you unlock Wonder Woman, that's your character like forever. You don't have to pay for her. But then
so you don't
they have other characters that like rotate into the game that you can play as, or is it just Wonder Woman's the only character you can play as until you unlock another one?
No, so Wonder Woman, the girl from Steven Universe, Finn from Adventure Time. Yeah, you Superman. Get a total of 5 characters that are free already when you start the game. Total, the whole list, I think there's like, I want to say there's probably about 20 playable characters in there.
Are they voiced? Like, do they have their voices from their respective whatever?
I don't think
like
so.
Steven Universe chick. Like,
I haven't heard anyone talk from what I can remember. Now that you said anything, they more make noises like "Hiya!" You know, that kind of shit.
Yeah,
it's a fighting game.
Yeah. But of course, you know, it's Shaggy, Batman, who else is in that game?
LeBron James is coming soon. Yeah,
Batman, they're gonna make
he's actually there.
Batman, they'll make you pay.
Is LeBron already out?
Yeah, you just have to pay for him to get him. Like he's 3,000 coins.
Would you also just pay like $50 and get all the characters right now? Like,
yeah, I think right now that is there's like 3 tiers. I think there's like a $39 one, $49 one, and then I think there's a $79 one.
Okay.
So
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy any of them.
No, I get it. Yeah.
But I definitely might be playing more of it just to kind of see if I can unlock some of the other characters.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's a fun game. It's a throwaway game. Like if you want to play something that's got different characters aside from Smash Brothers, it's fun. But
it's like that Nicktoons game.
Exactly.
The one that they put out like that. Everything. Like that's what it reminds me of. Is it's just random characters in a Smash style game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Okay. And it legit feels like a Smash Brothers clone, just with Warner Brothers characters. Like the scenes and the settings that you're in kind of resemble some Smash Brothers clones, but you just have Warner Brothers characters in it. So I mean, it just depends on how you feel. If you want something new to play, it's free to play. Try it out. Give it a shot. I mean, heck, it was fun.
When you're playing matches, are you fighting against a computer or are you playing online?
You can play either online or versus a computer.
Okay.
I think they have one-on-one. They have teams mode, which they highlight that they recommend teams mode. So
that's like the thing they're amping up, like that. Yeah, they really want people to play.
Yeah, they really want everybody to be on the teams mode right now. But there's one-on-one, there's teams mode. I think there's a rumble mode as well. And I want to say there's one more, but I don't remember what that one was called. But like I said, it's better than the Nicktoons one that came out. But
yeah, I'm not surprised.
I haven't heard good things about the Nicktoons one.
But if you want to play Smash, just buy Smash. It's a good game too. I mean, like I said, this one's free to play. It's fun for what you want to play it for. And I mean, give it a whirl. There's no harm in it.
Okay. Let's see. Our next email, Chris from Goshen, Indiana. He says, "Hi guys, love when you went through a few weeks ago and talked about your favorite systems from each generation. My question is, if you could go back in time and relive one console generation, which would it be and why?" I mean, for me, it's not hard. I would say Super Nintendo, and that's just simply because there's so many great games from that generation. And to go back in time also, like, this is a little cheating, but like to go back in time and revisit a period of time where there were like no cell phones and no distractions and you could really be into a game. Like, it's a little cheating, but Super Nintendo, there's just so many games. And even at the time, like for as many games as I played for that system, there's even more that I didn't at that time.
Yeah.
So like, that's the thing about it. It's so crazy.
I was thinking about it because like, I'd like to go back to the Super Nintendo days and play the RPGs that I didn't play on the system then, as opposed to like, 10 years later, 15 years later, emulated versions of stuff. Like I never played Breath of Fire at the time.
Yeah.
Or Lufia at the time. And I would like to have played them back then, especially because I was playing like Earthbound and Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana and Secret of Evermore. I played all of like the major ones, but I would have liked to play some of those other like small offshooty ones at the time. Mm-hmm. Like that would have been something really fun to do. Like it's either that or I mean, if we're just talking about like an era, not just a console, like the PS2, Xbox Cube era, like those three systems. I think because like that's like the strongest like across the board. Everybody had a good system.
Oh, there's so many games,
and there's so many good like
systems. Like
but like you have super solid Nintendo exclusive stuff, and you've got great RPGs on like the PS2, and then you've got like the Xbox, which is becoming like shooters and sports and action type stuff. So like all three of those systems hold up incredibly well. Whereas like if I went back to the Nintendo / like Genesis era, it's gonna be 90% Super Nintendo and 10% Genesis type stuff. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I want to experience the Super Nintendo again, but like that generation of PS2 stuff is so strong.
For sure. How about you, Matt?
If I had to think, I would probably say Super Nintendo because like I'm not a big fan of like JRPGs and stuff like that. However, like I want to because I know there are so many good ones out there. So I think because of what was available on the Super Nintendo and I didn't get into it, I would probably want to revert back into it and maybe like dive into some of those that I didn't really get the opportunity to play because like the people that I hung out with, they all played sports games and like Mario and simple stuff like that. So it's kind of what I played, so we had stuff to talk about. But I think if I could, I'd probably want to jump back and do that.
Fair enough. Let's see. Next email we have a GameStop email. This is Zach from Carbondale, Illinois. He says, "Hi guys, love the podcast and all the talk about GameStop. I'm a former GameStop employee at the store you worked at. How bad did it get taking in games or systems with a weed smell or smoke smell? Several years ago, I moved out. Before I moved out of state, the store I worked at had to stop taking in any systems or games that had a weed smell because it had gotten so bad." And it was so strong that we had parents complaining all the way up to the district manager, who then came in to assure it wasn't us employees causing it. Needless to say, it got ridiculous.
Jeez.
I don't think it ever like really got too bad for us, but like you'd have the guy come in. I can remember specifically one guy who had a marijuana cigarette that he literally was smoking outside, that he just put in his pocket and then lit, and then came into the store to sell his very smoked out 360 and a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, problem was like, especially like 360s, those things sucked up odors and they sucked up stuff because of the fans and stuff in there, and it would like get baked into the plastic of those original white ones.
Well, and the other thing you have to remember too is like at a GameStop store, when you're taking in a system, after you're done, you are packaging that up in a cardboard box where it is sealed with tape. And it is, I mean, it's not airtight, but like it is sealed. Yeah. So you go and put that in the back room for 6 months until you do a fire sale and somebody comes and wants a 360. And then at least at our store, since we, we're good employees, we'd go back there and open up a few to make sure we could find like the best one for the customer. And like that, I'll tell you, like 9 out of 10 times, that's a system that just keeps getting pushed to the back because it's awful.
You'd get them from other stores too. But
if it was really bad, we would just probably take it in as, defective and ship it out.
Yeah. I remember it happened a bunch at Game Crazy back in the day too, where like because cases pick that stuff up a lot too. The plastic on the cases really kind of absorbs that smell, and you'd also get people who would bring in games and stuff where like there'd be residue from that kind of stuff like on cases. So a lot of times we'd take those cases and I would just recase it and toss it out because it would get pretty bad. Man, I've never heard of a scenario where like you had to stop taking them in general. Like for GameStop to make a decision to not take something is like incredible. For sure. I do laugh at the DM coming in to make sure it wasn't them because like, we just do it in the back room and blow it onto the systems. like come on.
Which is also going to be on camera.
I think a lot of it depends on your era. I mean, Kyle and I quit before pot became legal here now, but we quit long before it was a thing. I think now it's probably worse just because
it has to be
right.
It's legal
now. It's legal now. There's a place down the street from us that where you can get it wherever you want. So
exactly.
It's It's got to be worse now. But for GameStop, for you to be told by your DM to stop taking it, I can't even imagine having that conversation with a customer. Like, yeah, man, sorry, can't take it. It smells too much like weed.
Exactly.
Because what are they going to say? Like, no. Like, yeah, it does, dude. Like, I know what it smells like.
No, it's just.
Yeah, that's funny though.
It was crazy. That was a good one.
Yeah, nothing ever terrible, but yeah, it's for weed smell, nothing awful.
All right. We got 2 more emails. We're going to do the next one. Here was another game recommendation. Claire from Janesville, Wisconsin said, "Hi, guys. I had a game recommendation. I know Kyle says he loves horror games. Have any of you played this new Madison game that just came out? It's very spooky and reminded me of PT. I highly recommend it." I have not. I have been looking at it.
That's definitely a Kyle game.
At the Xbox store. I look at it every time and I'm like, it's only $30, so it's not like overpriced or anything. What I really should do is see if they made a physical copy of it, because that's probably what would sell me on getting it, because I would like to have that.
Right.
But it looks cool. I'll say that. So it's definitely on there. We'll see. Maybe our next episode I will have played that. So we'll see. Because it is, I will actively say, I look at it every time I look at the Xbox or the PlayStation store, and I'm like, that definitely looks like a game I would play.
That definitely screams you.
So so it's one that I remember hearing about a while ago, and I knew it had a lot of those PT influences, because I mean, when PT hit and then they took it down, so many games have come out that have taken that as an influence.
Because it became fair game, because PT was never going to come out. So
exactly,
you couldn't really be a copy of a game that didn't exist.
No, not for sure. Our final email.
No, we got two. We got 2 left.
We have another one. What's the other one here?
We got 2 left.
Oh, I see here. You're right.
Yeah. Start with the other one. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. All right. Jay from Irving, California. He says, "Hi, guys. Love the GameStop talk because I'm a former employee." We got a lot of former employees this week. I wanted to ask, in the years that you all worked for GameStop, did you ever have any extremely annoying regular custo guests? I like that he used the term custo guests. That made me smile.
That's good.
Like maybe someone so annoying that none of your staff would want to deal with them. Thanks. So I have a really good one. And I don't think I've shared this story on the podcast.
I want to see if this is the one I'm thinking of. So you go first.
Okay. I don't remember this guy's name, to be fair.
Then
I remember what he looks
the one
like.
I'm thinking of, but go ahead.
This guy, he would come into multiple stores. I would say he did visit our store, and I did find him annoying.
I know who it is.
He specifically visited my best friend's store a lot more and annoyed him a lot more.
I know who it is.
And it was so bad that we decided, like me, my best friend, one of our other buddies who worked at GameStop at the time, for whatever reason, we decided, let's go see, this would have been the 4th Transformers movie.
I think we've talked about him. You've told this.
Have we talked about this?
Yeah.
Have I told the story on the podcast?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a while ago.
But this dude showed up, recognized my friend from GameStop, and sat next to him through the entire movie and talked to him the entire movie, which is like 3 hours long. So,
I've got a couple. I've got a couple, and you can jump in when you want. I'll tell a couple smaller ones, and then I'll tell the
big
king,
one.
The king. So number 1 was, we used to have a guy, big guy, probably not all there, who would constantly come in and ask us for a 60 gig PS3. Remember this guy?
Okay.
Backwards compatible PS3. He would buy it and then he'd return it. And then he'd buy it, and then he'd return it. And then he'd buy it, and he'd return it. It eventually got to the point where we told him he'd come in and ask us for it. We're like, no, we don't got him. Can you see if any other stores have him? And then you just go to the keyboard and like slam random keys. Nah, man, nobody's got him. Like he would do it without,
because he never kept it.
Without fail.
He never kept it.
And he would try to make us call stores out of the district to get him to ship. And we're like, we're not going to do that anymore. No. Yeah. And like he was awful, super annoying. He eventually just stopped coming in because we stopped catering to his bullshit. Another good one where I forget. He'll remember this when I kind of get into it, but like there was like a kid and his mom, and they were awful because she smelled really bad. Big woman, smelled awful, but they would pre-order every Call of Duty like collector's edition.
Yes.
And then bitch about it, and then cancel it, and then re-reserve it, and then cancel it at a different store and reserve it again.
I was just saying, but they go to multiple stores
here, and then they go to another store and reserve it, but call the other store and cancel it. It was just nonstop. And every time they got a collector's edition, there was something wrong with it. Every single time, wrong. because they'd have buyer's remorse. So like, remember the one year it was
was there a mini fridge or something?
There was a mini fridge
that was broken,
and he bitched because they said it was broken. They brought it in, it was broken. Or there was the night vision goggles. He said didn't work. Brought him in, they worked. The RC car where he stripped the screw on the bottom of the thing, and we're like, too bad, man, you stripped it. Like he would always like try to return stuff, trade, cancel. Yeah. They were awful. None of us of the 4 stores in the area, because that was when there were 2 and 2 in the 2 cities.
Yeah, exactly.
And he would just bounce between all 4. None of us would help him. None of us. Like you'd see their name come up on the phone, and click to ring it, click to hang it up immediately.
Caller ID was real helpful when we finally got that.
Oh god, caller ID is the greatest invention that GameStop could have ever had. Yeah. But we'll get to the king of kings. And Kyle, you'll know this when I say
that's someone I probably really hate.
Yeah. Oh, you want to talk about really hate? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you 3 options, Kyle.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I knew this who it was.
So
I know
we had this kid we like to call 3 options, and this goes back to an old Game Facts post about. We talked about this on the episode Ryan was on about like new games being opened. We didn't have a choice, and just how all that stuff worked. But there was this old Game Facts post where some Chad out there posted, if a guy at GameStop tries to sell me new games, I'm going to tell him he's got 3 options. And it was 1, like, just sell it to me at half price, 2 something, or 3 something. Exactly. It was like 3, like, it was just something like the dumbest, awful Game Facts post. But we essentially had the embodiment of that guy in our store in real life. But he also like wanted to like be friends with us, and he applied to work there. Yeah, and he would bring in his girlfriend, and they lived in a motel. And there would be days. There would be days where like they would have open discussions in the store about should we pay to do laundry or buy a video game. It was food too. Yeah, or food, or like should we actually eat for the day, or should we buy a video game? And every time, video game won.
What the hell?
And he'd pay us in quarters.
Well, and the worst part was the hotel that they quote unquote lived at was just across the parking lot.
Yeah,
so they would just walk over.
Because it was like a Super 8 or something.
Exactly.
And they would just literally walk over, and they'd be there all day, every damn day, and you could see them because our window faced like the direction they come from. Yeah, it was flat land.
It's flat land and it's an empty parking lot.
Barren, empty.
You knew when they were coming,
and you could see them coming, and you'd be like, and if you were,
so at least you'd be prepared.
Yeah, so you'd be kind of prepared, but then you'd be like, I saw him first, I'm not it, and then you'd walk out. You go to the back room.
You go in the back room or something.
And just try to hide.
I'm gonna go next door and get something to drink.
They were fucking nightmares because it was
and they
all
also
day.
Just the smell was awful.
Every day they
wouldn't shower.
Which is weird because they're in a hotel. You think they'd be able to shower anytime they want.
Exactly.
It was just they were terrible. And like when your life comes down to should I do laundry or buy a video game and pay in quarters, you need to rethink.
The other thing that annoyed me too is like this guy was very hardcore about like he'd have to have the original case and stuff if he was buying used games. But then when he would trade them in, he would just give you the disc. Never have a case. Like he would keep your cases for whatever reason.
It would always nothing was ever complete. But if we dared to sell him a new game that had been opened, we'd get a lecture. And it was like I don't know, like what universe do you live in, man? Like, because it ain't this one. Like.
On very rare occasions, he would actually he'd actually reserve something and come to the midnight, which like I always knew was a bad midnight release if he was going to show up.
Because he'd be there for 3 hours.
He'd be there for 3 hours. Then he'd want to talk to you like he's your buddy.
Yeah.
And it's
like, my God. That was probably the worst scenario you could ever have to deal with was like people who thought they were your friends. And it's like,
yeah.
Like, did I have customers that eventually I became friends with? Yes.
Sure.
But, I'm not there to be your friend, man. Like I'm there to, I work here. I'm punished to be here. And if you think it's bad for like me and Kyle, if you think it's bad for us, I always felt terrible for every female employee I ever had, ever.
Yeah,
they would get 10 times. They get harassed, like literally harassed, and like you'd have like me, and I'd be working with. We had a female employee at one point who I stopped playing Pokemon 20 years ago. She played every one of them all the time. They'd come in and they'd want to ask, because for as many as you'd get that would harass them, there'd be ones that would ignore them because they couldn't possibly know anything about video games. They're just a girl.
Yeah.
And so they would come up and ask me about Pokemon. I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know anything. You're gonna have to talk to her. And they'd be like, wait, what? Like, sorry, can't help it.
That was fun.
I would love dumping that on doing that. But I always felt terrible. Like, I tried to hire as many female employees as possible just because.
But you also knew at the same time.
I knew it was going to be a problem. Yeah. And I always felt terrible. But yeah, so we had plenty of bad customers. I'm sure there's more I'll think of later.
I'm sure too. But like three options.
He was
probably the biggest, worst
bad. One. Real bad.
I remember at the end, though, he kind of cleaned up because he moved away. Like, there was like,
he came in once and he told us, because he and his girlfriend, they got married somehow. Despite the fact neither one of them
don't ask how that worked out.
Neither one of them had a job. And but then he came in one day and he's like, I'm moving to Rockford. And it was like we had a party in the store. We were high-fiving each other.
We were. Oh my God. Because he canceled all his reserves to move him over there. And like, that was one of those like cancellations, you would take a hit obviously on your numbers for the day. But that was one where I was like, this is a badge of honor.
Please.
Like, I will gladly cancel every one.
I'll delete your account if that's
never
what it
have
takes.
To see. Yeah. Like, good Lord. And we never saw him again.
Yeah. So I don't think I ever did.
No.
Thank God.
So I want to say that was like maybe a year before I left. So
yeah,
he came in and did all that.
Yeah, towards that. Yeah.
So, all right. Our final question is mostly geared towards Dan. This one here comes from Brandon from Richmond, Kentucky. He says, hi, guys. Love the stories, especially about GameStop. My question is actually for Dan. I've been listening since episode 5, and I'm curious if you could run down the differences of what it was like working for Game Crazy and for GameStop. I never got the chance to go to a Game Crazy, but it sounds like a much more chill retail chain than GameStop. Thanks.
Okay, so
I can't speak to this one because I went to Game Crazy like one time in my life. So
was it mine or was it?
It was yours, and you were not there.
No, I could. I mean, it could have been. We never would have known.
I don't think it was you.
You probably would have recognized
I would have
me later. Yeah. So, Game Crazy versus GameStop. Excellent question. So, Game Crazy, for those who don't know, relatively short-lived video game chain. Started. It was part of Hollywood Video. It started in Oregon, where Hollywood Video kind of started, and then there were some in Vegas, and then whatever, and then it came out to where we live. And one night, this was back in 2002, and I was telling you guys, this is actually the 20th anniversary of when I would have started there. Like last Friday would have been 20 years to the date.
That's crazy.
Which is insane. So I was 17, or I was going to be 17, and my mom was coming home from work, and there was this big banner in the Hollywood Videos sign, because what they would do is they would convert parts of Hollywood Videos into Game Crazy. Like, they just install them inside. Kind of weird, but kind of neat, because they locked us behind like a chain link fence. And we had our own little thing, but we had our own little thing. We had different hours, so we had like rolling gates we could lock up and stuff. So my mom was driving home from work. She saw the banner in there. It's like, hey, we're now hiring. I called and I got an interview like the next day, and then I was slated to start like 2 days later. Like they were pumping this thing out. So major differences were it didn't last very long. I worked at that store from the day it opened until the day it closed, which had been 2002 to 2009, so about 7 years. And the major differences were like being part of Hollywood Video helped a lot. So at the time at the time we opened, we had a very decent amount of retro stuff, and we kept retro stuff for a long time, like long after GameStop stopped. Like we had a very nice like 64, some Nintendo, all that kind of case. Yeah, GameStop really didn't do it anymore. We also would at the time GameStop's card, I want to say, didn't give extra on trades, but we did if you had our card. It's called the MVP card. One of the biggest things we had is if you bought a system with us, you got a sheet for 12 free rentals at Hollywood Video, which is really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Which is like at the time was like $70 worth of coupons. And if you bought it at the right time of the year, you got last year's, or you got like this one and the next one, so you could get like 15 or 16 because they weren't like rolling sheets. It was just like the 2002 sheet, the 2003 sheet, and that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. We had a lot of different benefits. It was a lot more chill. Like, it was really laid back. Like, prices were actually lower on used stuff. There's a good story about it, which I'll get into another time. But like, at GameStop, games would be $5 less for used. Ours were 10 for a very long time.
Okay.
I'm talking about like all the good stuff now because at one point Game Crazy changed. But another major difference is we had interactive setup. Like we had two, like
because wasn't it kind of like
stations.
old days Funko-Land where you could just try anything, right?
We had a program called Try Before You Buy, which was a gift and a curse because technically you could try any game you wanted. So like if you wanted to try out Amplitude on PS2, it couldn't be M-rated. Couldn't do that.
Makes sense.
But if you want to try out Amplitude for PS2, we could put a copy of it in the interactive thing, and you could play it and see if you wanted to buy it. Cool idea until people started to take advantage of it. Luckily for me, I had a kill switch for the thing, where I would just be like, "Oops, those aren't working today." We'd just turn those off. Eventually, we got rid of them. Which thank good that we did. But it was everything was behind the counter in terms of like new stuff. We had like a cash wrap with glass cases and all the older stuff in. A lot more laid back. Like our goals weren't crazy. Our district was so wide that like district managers never came in. Because like my district spanned states, not just like the area. Because like, for a long time, the closest store to us was 40 minutes one way or 40 minutes the other way. And for a long time, it was really good. Like there was only like 5 of us that worked there because that was all you really kind of needed. Because a lot of times you'd work alone, but you really weren't alone because you were inside a Hollywood Video, and there were always people working over there. And like we'd be slow sometimes, so you'd go hang out over there, or like I would clean up the rental section because one thing I always thought they should have done, but they never did, is they should have given us control over the game rental section. Like you should have been able to rent a game at our side of the store. And for as similar as our systems were, they were actually very different. So like you couldn't just like I couldn't log in at Hollywood Video and they couldn't log in at my thing, which made it a real pain in the ass because sometimes I would borrow people from Hollywood Video if I needed a shift covered. And I eventually did it to the point where I stole 2 people from them. I'm just like, he's going to work here from now on. They were more than happy to do that because that's what they wanted in the first place. But for a very long time, Game Crazy was like, and this is the perfect analogy I'd ever heard for it was taking a deposit to the bank one time, and the guy in front of us was the guy who like worked at the Burger King up the street, and this was like when they had started doing breakfast because I remember that was a big thing. And she was talking to the lady behind the counter, and I was just kind of listening. And she was asking him about it, and he goes, "Well, the point of it isn't to beat McDonald's at breakfast. The point of it is to be the best secondary option, because no one's ever going to beat McDonald's, right? Like you just can't. You can't do it anymore." And I always thought, like if Game Crazy had focused on always being like the secondary option to GameStop, it would have been fine. But then at one point,
makes sense.
Sometime around the 360 era, they got bought by some dude by Movie Gallery, bought Hollywood Video and Game Crazy, and that was when we went to our conference, and they had the guy up on the stage, and he was like some old oil tycoon. I'm on Dallas motherfucker, and he was up there, and you could tell at our Game Crazy conference he had no idea what Game Crazy was. Like when he was talking, he just seemed oblivious. Had no idea, didn't seem to care. And we all kind of looked at each other and was like, this is bad. This guy does not want us. And ever since that point, the whole company kind of shifted where they tried to compete with GameStop. And then, 4 years later, they were all closing because they weren't happy enough just being their own store.
Second.
At one point, the most asinine thing they tried to do was break off of Hollywood Video and form its own company and actually start to open like standalone stores. No, man. The whole point is that we're inside Hollywood Videos.
Exactly.
Like, the whole point is this is like a division of that. Blockbuster actually tried that for a while. Not a lot of people remember that. It was called Game Rush, but they never went as far as to like dedicate part of the store to it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Like, we were in the beginning, we were encouraged to play video games when we started.
That makes sense.
Like, they were like, play stuff so you can talk about it. When Guitar Hero first came out for PS2, you know, that was it was a weird thing. Like, it had a guitar peripheral. Who's gonna buy this? Like, no one's gonna care. So we were like, fuck it. We hooked one up. We put a PS2 in our interactive cage, hooked it up to a TV, and one night it was Buddy and I were playing it. We just played it all day. Whenever we could, the two of us played it. You know how many people came over from Ohio Video and watched us play it, and we're like, "What is that?" A shitload. We couldn't keep them. We just kept selling them, kept selling them. Because you know why? Because we showed people what it was. Yeah. And like, we were always good at like selling that, or like whatever the hot new game was, put it on the Xbox, because we had hanging TVs. We had an Xbox up on a shelf, and I MacGyvered it so like a controller ran down and over a counter, and you could play a TV up on the thing. We were one of the first places to have Wii's set up to play, like before the system even came out. Okay. And like, so you could come in and try it. Like, you know, you couldn't play much because there was nothing. There was sports and like Excite Truck and stuff. And we used to take people's licenses so that they, in case they ran off with the remote and the nunchuck. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we had a lot of people come in to do that. The coolest thing that we ever had that was a big difference is every weekend, every Saturday, we had tournaments. And we could set up tournaments. We would pick a game. We'd run a tournament. And if you won, technically how it was supposed to be is like first, second, third, $30 credit, $20 credit, $10 credit. But we were like, that's not that great. So what we did was we did first and second, $50 credit, $10 credit. So like, if you won a tournament, you could win a game essentially at the time, basically, $50. Yeah. But it was always cool because we would always we'd get to pick the game. We'd get to set it up. I remember I would always we'd come up with like the dumbest shit ever to make tournaments out of. Like one time we were like, we're going to have a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure tournament on PS1.
Oh, wow.
But you're going to play it on the mini PS1 on the screen on the PS1 on the counter.
Oh, that's
so cool. You had to like duck down and play on there. That was fun.
Okay.
We had one kid, and it was cool because I always had it was basically like the regulars, but I would get
makes sense
anywhere from 20 to 30 kids would come hang out. They'd buy stuff. They'd buy candy at Hollywood. Like, it all worked out. Yeah. We had one kid who was basically the ringer. He earned the nickname STK, Super Tournament Kid, because he would come in, dominate, wouldn't say a word, win his money, and leave. We once had I think we had a Tony Hawk. It's probably a 4 tournament because it had just come out. We had a Tony Hawk 4 tournament. That kid just I didn't even think second place was half his score. But the best part was that kid never talked. It was so funny. Okay. We loved that kid. But yeah, like that, we made a lot of money off of that. The coolest tournament I ever ran, and GameStop didn't do any of this kind of stuff. This was right after GameStop had bought Funko and bought EB and was like merging everything into one corporate thing.
It was a weird time.
The greatest tournament we ever had was I canceled tournaments for 3 weeks so we could have like an epic final tournament. Halo. Nice. 4-player teams on 4 systems that I actually made my own cable for and ran it like up into the ceiling and like down so I could hook up all these systems and shit. I had 68 people show up for this thing. Wow. And my store was tiny because it's part of a Hollywood Video. 68 people showed up, including a nationally ranked local Halo team. Which was so guess who won? But then but my buddies, because my buddies and I would play it all the time, and there was always like 6 of us, so I couldn't play, so we just took the next the 4 best people we could, and they got second place. I always tried to rig tournaments for my friends because obviously.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and so by canceling the tournaments, I was able to give out $200 in credit as the prize for that week. which is cool. And then the guy,
That's pretty cool.
The guy used it to buy Steel Battalion. That was the best part.
That's
but yeah,
good.
like Game Crazy was a lot of fun. Like that was back in the days too, where we got cool promotional items.
Wow.
Like I have a Mario Strikers soccer jersey. I've got when they did the GBA Classics. They gave our whole store shirts, and like one was an Excite Bike shirt, one was a Zelda shirt, one was a Donkey Kong shirt. So we all got to wear those.
Yeah.
Nintendo reps would come in and give us stuff. That was back when Microsoft had a rep. In the beginning, PlayStation, they'd come in and give us stuff. I will say that working at Game Crazy was 10 times better than ever working at a GameStop in the good days. Just because like I could go next door, buy soda, hang out, play games, until it became a nightmare when they really tried to push it. Then when we started doing cash trades and trying to match GameStop in every aspect. And one of the nightmare scenarios.
Wasn't that a big part of it for the longest time? Is like you didn't do any cash trades, right?
No, we didn't. We loved it. I want this for cash. Cool, man. GameStop's up the street. Have a good one. You don't give cash? No, it's a headache.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hated doing that. And then finally they caved. What was the other thing I was just gonna say? I forget, but like it was good. It was really fun working there. It was low stress until they tried to compete. And then one of the biggest mistakes they ever made was, so GameStop always had the magazine. We didn't have one, obviously. So when we had our MVP card, which was cheaper for a long time, and then it got more expensive, you could pick a magazine. It was like you get Nintendo Power or OXM or PlayStation. So it was kind of cool. Like you could kind of pick one until they fucked it up, and one for a couple months just sent everybody Maxim. Oops.
You want to have a 10-year-old kid getting Maxim?
Yeah, we got some phone calls. Why is this Maxim magazine addressed to my son? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. And then it turned out that they had lost like publishing partnership with, I think it was Ziff Davis that did all that stuff. And their solution, instead of not send a magazine, was to convert it to Maxim. And we were like, oh, fucking A. Yeah. So like it became the same kind of problem where that guy took over. The people, they inserted his dudes and everything went to shit. And then we just finally got a call that was like, your store's done. And we're like, all right, cool. And then I immediately started working at GameStop. Oh, well.
And you had to work up the ladder at GameStop too.
I had to start over.
I was going to say, you didn't start as a store manager.
No, I had to start over. I had to be a third key to start. But then I got assistant in like a couple years, and then I got.
Well, they had to have known when you were a store manager.
They did because the guy who hired me at GameStop was my original district manager at Game Crazy. He had gone over there, so he knew. That's why I got the job immediately, and then it was just a matter of getting me the slots, and that's when I took over.
Okay,
Game Crazy forever.
I mean, even at GameStop, when we had our crew of people, it was fine.
Yeah, and earlier it was fine. It was until
we just never could do anything. Like we would have never been able to have like a tournament every
couldn't have fun
or anything like that.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to have fun.
That kind of fun. Yeah, not allowed to have that kind of fun.
No,
even though it would have made them money.
Couldn't rig tournaments for your friends to get them to win credit.
Even though the store would have made money if we would have done tournaments.
Hollywood Video made money on candy and all that kind of stuff and rentals off of us. We sold tons of stuff from tournaments, like at the cost of what? Giving out credit? Like who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were dumb.
Very dumb.
GameStop is dumb.
but still holding on.
Yeah,
holding on strong.
Well, when you sell NFTs of the probably the Holocaust is next.
That's probably next.
Fucking
the way they're going though, I can see it.
Hey, we had to watch a video on it once. Why not sell an NFT of it?
Oh my god! Why not sell an NFT of it? These events are the most important.
NFTs only happen once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I can see a dumb video like that being made if that district manager was still there.
Yeah, well, he's not.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Podcast 572. As always, send your emails to podcast572@gmail.com. We enjoy them all, especially your GameStop ones. We love those. Talk to us about the credit card. I know there's somebody out there.
Tell us about your bad experiences about the credit card.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I know if we put the call out there, somebody will answer.
And tell me if you shopped at a Game Crazy and a GameStop, tell me which one you liked more, because I'd like to know.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that too. I don't think we have a lot of people. Most of our audience seems to be.
You'd have to be
GameStop.
older. Well, and you'd have to be older to have shopped at a Game Crazy, but
you have to remember what a video store was.
That's true.
Like think about it. I would love, like, I say this before, like, I've lived where I live now for a little over a year, and the biggest thing that kills me is now that I live here, within like 10-minute driving distance, there are 2 former family videos.
Yeah.
One of which is a Subway now. Boom. And it is the saddest thing to me. I drive by and I'm just like, oh man, if I was only a year earlier, I could have at least had a year of renting stuff from this family video. And now I don't have that at all. So, but as always, send your emails in. We love to hear them. And we will be back in another 2 weeks for the next edition of Podcast 572. Thank you as always for listening.
Thank you.